is 1 Corinthians 14:33. For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. For God is not a God of confusion. And I think so many times it's easy for us to maybe question, God, are you confused? Or am I confused? But God is not confused. He's not confused about anything that's going on. And you guys, I heard one of the most powerful stories linked to this very idea that we can trust that God is not confused. And it was so powerful. It hit me. It was Monday, and I had shared this with Jerry too. And YouTube recommends different videos in regards to the ones that you like. Now, there's this story. It's called From the Remembrance of I Am. And it's told from Archangel Michael. And he explained in this story that there was an assignment going on down on earth, that he was going to need some very strong angels, very large angels. And who would be willing to sign up for this task? They didn't really have the details of what was going to be happening down on earth, but they knew that there was something big stirring. And only the top angels were assigned to this story or to this mission that was happening down on earth. Because as we know that there are angels unaware among us all the time. So who signs up for this task? Well, there was a younger angel who came to her supervisor, her angel supervisor, and said, you know, I've been this wimpy angel. I haven't really grown up, but I'm ready now. I want to take on an assignment on earth that's going to prepare me for being down on earth to help the humans. And they said, listen, you know, that's pretty awesome. Thank you so much. We really highly do not recommend that you take on this maximum amount of growth in this short amount of time. And the angel was very insistent, saying, look, I know that this is going to be horrific. And they said, do you remember the time you volunteered to go down on earth for just 2 days? And you said that that was so terrible that you never wanted to go back down there, that you were pretty good up here with us angels here in heaven, right? And she goes, yes, I remember, but there's this big assignment that I want to be prepared for. And they said, well, you know, it's been very hard to say no to you. So we're going to give you a list of all the experiences that's going to be for your maximum growth for a short life on planet Earth. So she goes, she takes this list, she checks all these boxes off, and she volunteers to be born to a mother with AIDS, and that she would have AIDS, and that she would go through the series of just horrific experiences where people would end up cursing God. It would be so horrific. She comes back with this list, and the angel supervisor looks over this and says, you know, this is crazy. You understand that this is going to be so horrific for you. It will lend to your maximum growth, and you will be one of our strongest angels, having endured something like this. But how about if we take it in chunks? How about if we just do a few of these boxes that you checked and not all these boxes for your experience on planet Earth? And the angel was so insistent and saying, please convey to God that I will make him proud. I will endure this life. I will take this on, and I will be better for it. And the angel's supervisor is very somber and says, all right. Goes, speaks, they have a conversation, God, and he says, really, this little angel is going to take on this life on earth for their maximum growth. If they insist on this, I will grant them their wish. They said, okay. You ready? She goes, I'm ready. She said, they said, don't forget that I will now, as your supervisor, I am assigning myself as a guardian angel for you because this is so horrific and you won't even feel many times that I'm even there. But I will be beaming love down to you. I will be comforting you. I will try to come to you in your dreams at night. If there's any turning towards God, feel my love when it is so absent from your experience. And she said, I'll try. She comes down on planet Earth and is born to a mother, seventh child with AIDS, addicted to crack, addicted to drugs. The minute she feels the pain of her disease in her body as a baby, she starts wailing and crying. And the mother just looks at her and tears coming down her face and says, I don't have any money to feed you. I don't have any money to take care of you. If you, for some reason, breathe through the night, I wish you love. And the baby, for a moment, feels something. And the cries start to stop, but then immediately returns. And then the baby's just wailing from hunger, wailing from her diseased body. And she's discarded by soldiers who put her aside and said, dear God, another baby in this world. That's all we need. It's not going to live through the night. Just brush it aside. And somehow a woman comes along, doesn't have any money or food, or she does have some food herself, but doesn't have any money to care for the child. But what she does see is this baby crying. And she picks up this baby and she holds it. She comforts it the best she can. She gives it some milk and it finally goes to sleep. Somehow it's shuffled through the system, right? From foster home to foster home, or from anybody that will care for this child who is diseased, racked with AIDS in her body. She ends up being raped. She ends up being abused terribly in these different homes that she's in. And she literally does not feel God. Even though she's got a team of people, of angels all around her. She actually, before coming to earth, she chose the people that were going to hurt her, that were going to abuse her, that were going to rape her, that were going to give her the mother that was going to give her AIDS. And these angels were sacrificial in their own essence, saying, we will do this for you, but it's only because you've asked us to. You've asked us for your maximum growth. This won't be who we really are, but we will play this role for you and your maximum growth. One night, the angels are trying to comfort her as she's in terrible pain in her dreams at night. And they're trying to penetrate, trying to say, we're here. We haven't left you. You won't feel us in the day, but we are here. And we haven't ever forgotten you, ever. This angel ends up, or this girl ends up dying at 15 years of age. And she goes back and returns to the love that she was born in. And they all just smiled. There was such a reverence of her having made it through this, the life that she chose to grow the maximum. And they said, you are a very big angel. And she said she would not choose it again. She would not choose to go back to earth to do that again, but she would not choose to have ever missed it, the one she just experienced, because she truly was full of compassion. She had compassion that knew no depths because of what she had suffered on this lifetime. Now, when we read the verse that God is not confused, we may get confused because we have forgotten our journey, right? We've forgotten why we're here. We've forgotten what we signed up for. What if we remembered today? Nothing's out of order. Nothing. We signed up for this lifetime. We signed up for these experiences, these exact experiences. We signed up for the exact family we were born into. And they were perfect for us, for our maximum growth. Every spouse was perfect for our maximum growth. And doesn't it do us better to feel that somewhere, someplace we had choice in it? If imagination is more important than knowledge, if we get to choose our attitude, our feelings, our existence in this world, let's choose that we actually like it. I mean, really like it. We get this life. We get this maximum growth, however many boxes we checked off. We get to grow. We get to evolve. So when our spouse is putting us down or divorces us or something happens or we get bullies on the playground, in whatever form that happens in our careers, in our playgrounds, what if we signed up for all of it? There's not a mistake. Who do we get to become in light of whatever happens? And how do we get to rejoice with whatever goes beautifully into the feelings that we get to celebrate milestones, whether it's a graduation, whether it's a learning of a course, whether it's a marriage that does go right, whether it's a relationship that is perfect with all of its flaws, We get to, I watched Tracy here greet Ed, and my heart was so warmed because she gave him a kiss. She gave him a kiss because it was, I'm happy to see you. Can we not celebrate those moments all the time when something does go beautiful? Because there's so much that is in line for our growth. And can't we just be grateful that we made it through that one? Whatever it was, whatever appearingly didn't work out, can't we just be grateful for the compassion it did give us? Because we checked that box that we wanted to experience this in this lifetime. We needed it. We yearned for it. We said, God, I know you said you wouldn't recommend it, but we wanted to grow that much. We wanted to evolve that much. Wouldn't it be crazy if we could just say, you know what, it was so awesome. I was given an alcoholic mother and a dad that beat me, and I grew up so much. I am the person I am today, and it is awesome. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could say that? I grew up with a dad that gave me compassion, that gave me love, and I am who I am because of him today. I got to forgive a mother that was so cruel, and I get to love her now in the way that I wished I would have been. How cool is that? How cool is that? Nobody can tell us how to think or how to be or how to give love unless we let them. When someone said it was crazy you're leaving your social work job, you've got all these benefits. I heard another voice that said, Tamara, I've got you. Walk this way with me now. There's so many junctures on this journey of life that we can choose whose voice we get to hear. God is not the author of confusion. And when we're confused, it's because we forgot. Let's let God remind us in our dreams. Let's let God remind us in our waking hours that He is with us, that the angels that are assigned to us are with us, even when we can't see them, even when we can't feel them, even when we cry out, where are you? I can't feel you. Empty. Empty and let go of grievances so that we can feel God's presence in our life, so that we can hear the message of walk this way, go this way, respond in love. You don't have to react. Relax, rest in my love for you, no matter how someone else is treating you. Do we have the heart to forgive the ones that are closest to us, not the ones that are far off, but the ones that have been intimate with us, the ones that have been a part of our intimate workings? Imagine we chose them. We chose them for our maximum growth. We also choose the ones for our maximum love. Celebrate when anything goes beautiful. Celebrate somberly when it doesn't, because it's all a part of our evolution. It's all a part of who we get to become. Charles Fillmore says, what is the compassion of the divine? This is what our Charles Fillmore says about divine compassion. In the heart of God exists an eternal tenderness and mercy for his children. Jehovah is gracious and merciful. Do we feel that? Do we think our God is merciful? Do we think he's gracious? Can we feel him? Is he that real in our lives that we're not blinded by our experiences we signed up for? Then here is what Charles Fillmore says about the compassion that is human. Here's the compassion that's human. A characteristic of love and mercy prompted by an understanding heart. A compassionate mind sees the error but does not condemn. A compassionate heart sees an error, the error, but does not condemn. Neither, this is what Jesus' example was for us in John, neither do I condemn thee. Go thy way from henceforth and sin no more. What is sin? Just missing the mark. Neither do I condemn you. God does not condemn us because of the experiences or the circumstances that we signed up for. We may be an angel in someone else's life that asked us to be an asshole, a bitch, what's a better word? Mean. Okay. So sorry about that. All right. So we may have said, I'll be that mean to someone else, right? So we're being an angel for someone else. So God's not condemning us, even if that is the case. So why would we condemn another? We want to feel God's love. We want to feel God's compassion. Whether we've been the rear end or we've been the angel, right? We want to feel that. So that guilt or that sin, go and sin no, don't go and not think you're missing the mark anymore. You're not. That's a compassionate human heart who can act divinely. The divine compassion is, I am full of mercy for you. Thank you for signing up. Thank you for being on earth. You will return one day and it will all be all right, always. But if we can feel it now on earth, that kind of compassion, and then give it, that is a slice of heaven on earth, I believe.
Yeah, it's interesting. The rules are pretty simple, it seems. Um, to be, Tamara's talking about, like, she celebrates. I struggle sometimes with just accepting. The next level is to appreciate. Next level is to actually be outwardly grateful for. And then the final level, I think, is to actually celebrate. Tamara likes to dance and sing and to actually let the energy of appreciation out. And it's funny because like, I have a younger brother and he's a real sweetheart. They grew up with a pretty tough family. We all did. My mother was a little bit dysfunctional, and dad, a typical family here in America. And and I've been talking to him quite a bit lately, and he's really been describing, because he's really become very soft and a little cheerful. Like, you see this little smile that sort of percolates on his face. And so I really was inquiring. I was like, what are you up to? Because I've really been struggling with being hard on myself, and the fact that I'm getting older and the memory isn't as sharp, and my abilities. And if I do heavy work, I need a day off, instead of just like going right back into it. Yeah, here's Ed over here. We were working on the sprinkler system out here, and we were just tearing our hair out. And because the pipes are so old, we went to put a coupler on it and it just collapsed. It was crazy. So we're going to be doing some plumbing to get some water to the trees. But my brother was saying, he said, he is done a lot of spiritual practice, and he says what he's been practicing a lot lately is when he's looking at things or when he's experiencing things, he stops and watches himself experience things. So think about that for a second. It's like you can take a bite of food and say, wow, this is really good food. And you can notice the person that said, wow. Because some people take the same bite of food and say, yuck, right? And then he said, I started to notice on a deeper level, not just what I was saying in my head about what's going on, but what's actually the machine that's working. What's the machine that makes him say, wow, or yuck? And where is that impetus coming from? So this gets pretty deep. This is deep meditation. And I started to really get it, though. I mean, I was talking to him for 90 minutes about this subject. I said, well, take me through an exercise, right? Because he loves self-help. I used to, teach people. I said, all right, so what's the thought? What's the predominant thoughts? Everybody just get like a predominant thought about what's going on in your life that you're noticing. What are you noticing? And you may say, well, whatever. The virus sucks, whatever it is, right? Something comes up. And you say, wow, okay, there's a thing that takes a neutral experience and labels, that sucks. So he says, I noticed that. I noticed there's a part of me that likes to jump out with that sucks, right? Because we can exercise. The beauty of a human is that you can actually choose to look at an object and you can choose to criticize it, or you can choose to find the beauty in it. You can say, I want to find 10 things about that little painting in the back of the room that I like. A human can do that. That's the frontal lobe. So you're able to notice who you are being as things happen to you, right? And so he was looking at this and he was saying, what do you notice? All right, virus sucks. Okay, well, that's a frown, that's a tightness, that's an expression of disgust that comes out of the mouth. And he says, now just notice that you're noticing that. Oh, wow, frown. Now notice that that person that's noticing doesn't really have a judgment about it. There is something that judges and chooses and protects, and that layer, it's just one inside of oh, look at the color. The color's blue. Then there's one more layer inside that says, I hate blue or I love blue. And then there's one behind that that says, what am I noticing about when blue shows up in my world? Oh, I'm the person that judges blue is good or blue is bad or viruses are good or bad. And as I started to do this, it's funny because from time to time, I feel just spiritually full. And when I do, I want to fast. Usually on Sunday, I used to always fast on Sundays because I would wake up in the morning and say, oh, Sundays, I'm just going to fast. And it puts me in a neat state where I'm just like, oh, yes, thank you, Lord. Oh, there's like something about fasting that does that. And it's all through scripture that you can fast to get connected, to hear God's voice, to show God that the living waters that God breathes into our body by pumping our heart is something that we're going to rely on for a short period of time. Whatever that process is. I've been noticing that I've been, I mentioned this like kind of grumpy in life in general as I get older. And I'm noticing that I can notice that. And I can say, wow, like there's a part of me that doesn't age at all, that notices.
Mm-hmm.
It just notices in a moment. It doesn't have to remember. It doesn't have to have a plan. It just notices. And if I connect with that part, it's always free of criticism, blame, and judgment. And it's a part. The noticer is always curious. So I've been doing, like, instead of eating, I usually eat a bowl of healthy grains in the morning. I've been doing what is called intermittent fasting. And if you haven't tried it, it's fabulous. The reason is because you can lose weight without starving yourself or worrying about the food. Just go 8 hours of eating a day, and the rest you just don't eat. And make your window anytime you want. But you just don't eat for that period of time. You'll automatically lose weight. You'll automatically be healthier. You'll detox. Your body will have time to repair. And so I've been doing this in the mornings, and something bizarre has been happening. I've been noticing like homeless people, and I've been noticing them from a different perspective. And this is something that I believe saved me from being a really mean guy when I was going through tough times as a kid. Put yourself in the shoes of the other person, right? Walk a mile in their moccasins. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That whole energy of, wow, what's it like for them? And I would pull up to like a stop sign and I'm like, I'm in this little kind of zone of being appreciative and grateful. I'm looking at this homeless person. I'm like going, wow, what would it be like to be in their shoes right now? And I saw a guy sitting on a little island. It was as wide as a milk crate because he was sitting on a milk crate. And he had a puppy in his lap, and he's probably 25 years old. And he's got a sign in one hand in cardboard. It's all ripped up. It says, I'm hungry and homeless. And he's got a puppy that's laying on his lap, smiling. It's just happy as can be. And he's falling asleep. And there's cars driving all around him, and he's going, right? And I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, this guy is going to fall onto the road. He's sitting on an island. There's cars like literally like a foot from him going by him there. And I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. And I'm going, what is he experiencing? He's got his puppy in his lap. Now, if you guys that know what that's like, Tamara and I, we have Magic, and we have the cat. And it's just, there's something really wonderful when an animal just comes up and just settles on your lap. Mm-hmm. And he had this This puppy just laying on his lap, just happy. You could see the smile on this little puppy's face. His eyes were fuzzy. And I was thinking, that guy is lost in a world where he's completely content enough that he could be in danger and falling asleep. He's just at peace in that moment. And then something happened where I got really grateful for the fact that I could, instead of being impatient with a red light, that I had a nice long red light to witness this and to connect with it and to be grateful for that simple thing that he, homeless and hungry, has love. And this little creature is given him this world. And it's funny, but I was going to roll the window and say, hey, buddy, wake up, man. You can get hit by a car. But I could see that the way, while he's half asleep, he's holding this puppy, that there was no way he was going to let anything happen to this thing. It was like even when he was going, he wasn't going all the way. It was like he was sitting there. And when he came back, there was one time when he sort of jolted and he came up and he looked down and he petted the puppy once. What he cared about, the guy was being generous and caring about this little dog. And he had a job. I got my puppy. And so I was so stunned by it all. I wasn't even moved to action, like, all right, give him something or do something for him. He was getting, a few things. Somebody handed him a bottle of water, and then it's like in the course of one light, he grabbed the bottle of water and then was falling asleep. And I was going, wow, this is amazing. And then another person I noticed, and it was just like, they're sort of limping and wobbling along, and I can relate to that right now. I've got, a sore leg and an arm, and I've been working pretty hard, and I'm going, to be able to get into someone else's life, to extend ourselves out of it, because what this crummy virus, whatever we have judgments about it, or this, whether it's a conspiracy or whether it's a God-made thing or whether it's just happens and it's timely and we need to protect each other, whatever we've made up about it, there is a part of us that is alive, and God's pumping your heart and your lungs, and you can just observe and be compassionate to people that are, I went to Home Depot this morning to get some pipe, and I'm walking around, and there are some people that are very conscious of making sure they keep distance. And there are the people that just like walk up and, hey, can I help you with that? And, their mask is down, just about below the lower lip, right? And they just want to help. And it's just so beautiful to be able to have the ability to notice, be curious, and appreciate what you're seeing. Because my brother's been helping me. I've mentioned I want to be a kind. Like I've, New Year's, I like to set a little bit of goal. I want to be kind. And Tamara has pointed out over and over again, you will be as kind to other people as you are to yourself, and you'll be as kind to yourself as you are to other people. It's the same machine. And I can be hard on myself. So I was like going, all right, what does kind look like? Oh, look at it's to notice that if I get frustrated, which I was getting this morning with the audio. I thought I had the audio down, and people online can't hear the sound they can't hear the music coming from the computer. They can hear everything else. They hear Dylan better. They're hearing us better because we're directly connected. But for some reason, the sound on the computer isn't going through, and I'm like going, I'm still not done, right? And I'm noticing for the first time, I really took what my brother was saying at a deeper level and saying, what am I noticing? Wow, there's a part of me that really wants, when I'm of service, for it to land with people. I want the people online to have great sound. I want them to hear the beautiful music that Tamara picks out, or the beautiful music that Dylan's playing, to be present here with it. As Jerry points out, he comes every week because he says it's different here. But there's some folks online that can't make it here. And I just wanted that to be better. But there's a lightning bolt time frame between I want this to be better. Damn it, it's not working. And so the beauty that I've noticed lately, just a huge breakthrough for me, is to be able to, as one of our friends once put it, be quicker than your thoughts. To notice the process before you're already wrapped up in the judgment of something or the action of something. Or, I mean, think of how useful this is in dealing with an addiction or with another person that's struggling or with pain in your body. To be able to notice instead of, ah, my pain, instead to be able to say, wow, my shoulder is sending a sensation and I've got it labeled as pain and I'm resisting the pain. And there's a beautiful technique for anybody that's in pain at all right now, is just to go to that part of your body and notice it and put all of your attention there. And without judgment, be curious and say, wow, what kind of pain is it? Is it a sharp pain or a dull pain? What might it be saying? Is it a pain that's screaming, you got to move or I'm going to get worse? Or is it just a pain that's saying, I'm healing and bear with me and I need your attention and I'd love to have some focused energy here. There's all different kinds of pain. And ultimately, if you practice this simple technique of, instead of, oh, my knee hurts, instead just going to, wow, my knee is sending sensations. Let me be lovingly attentive. Let me have my knee have the healing experience of being heard that we've all had. We've all been heard by someone and felt, wow, thank you. It's just so good to be heard. And when I have, there have been times when as monks we would go out and we would do a little mystery, and it was so amazing when you talk to people in the street, homeless people, how incredibly grateful they were to have someone just to hear them talk, and how lonely they were.
And we were listening to is Peer, what's her name?
Oh yeah,
Marissa Peer.
Marissa Peer. She's a therapist. She's
Yeah,
on
she's a
YouTube.
therapist from London, and it's amazing because she says, I know this is going to sound really weird, but if your migraine or your headache were your friend, what would it be saying? If the pain in your shoulder were your friend, what would it be saying? If the pain in your knee were a friend, what message does it have for you? So it's a shift in perspective. That maybe it's here for my awakening. Maybe it's I just wake up a little bit more.
And there's so many techniques for physical healing. There's so many techniques for emotional healing. There's so many techniques for spiritual healing. The beauty of this technique, if you practice it, is to observe the rising reaction that you have before you take action. It works on all three levels. If you're struggling physically, you can notice. If you're struggling emotionally, you can notice instead of reacting. If you're struggling spiritually, I've had a huge breakthrough this week where I was just praying so sincerely and humbly to Jesus, just saying, Lord, please just help me be graceful in this situation of, that when I was talking to my brother of getting older and really struggling with being gracious as I notice the limitations. And as I enjoy, so I can enjoy the process of being wiser and more complete.
So to just kind of wrap up here with the human compassion, a characteristic of love and mercy prompted by an understanding heart, a compassionate mind sees the air. It's not like you've got eyes wide shut, you eyes wide open, right? A compassionate mind sees the air, but does not condemn. And Jesus says, neither do I condemn thee. Go thy way from henceforth and sin no more. So with that, why don't we go ahead and open up to our group here. Dylan, what came up for you today?
The first thing that I'd like to mention when you were saying, the pain in your knee is your friend, pain in your back is your friend. The thought that came to mind is, well, what if the pain in your rear is your friend?
Yeah.
Your actual perfect friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of amused me.
Uh-huh.
But kind of the main thing that popped up was, just kind of when dealing with growth, there's decisions that you make, and really there's two decisions. There's either a good decision or a bad decision. And something that I kind of came up on my own a while back is that the only mistake in life is the perception that something is a mistake.
Yeah.
And because really, and I mean, this is just my opinion, but I mean, you have these choices, good or bad. When you make a good decision, certainly there's some sort of growth. If you make a bad decision, there will definitely be growth.
Right.
And
Right.
and maybe it might be more growth than the good decision, but I guess that can kind of differ. But the point being is that in growing and in learning more about not just the world but yourself and others, and kind of maybe changing your perception of others, it for me it's allowed me to see the world through more positive eyes. I mean, I grew up in a family of very negative people. I grew up with friends that were negative, with just people around me that were constantly negative. And I mean, given my sort of educational background, I was constantly berated for my behavior, albeit it was well deserved. But still, it's because of my decisions that to this day, every single day, I look back at something that I said or did, and I'm like, why did I do that? And there's really no point in doing that other than saying, yeah, let's not do that again, and let's finally let go of the past. And I mean, this sort of thing is why I don't pay attention to the world around me and what's going, virus this, virus that, is vaccine good, vaccine bad, conspiracy, Biden this, Biden that, Trump's trying to do whatever to, but it's like, I don't, I really don't care. I really don't. I'm sick and tired of it. Because growing up, I don't know about all of you, because I mean, you have a lot of more world experience than me. But growing up, I don't remember once the world being like this ever. That this bad. I mean, just I don't know about your lifetimes, but mine, I don't understand it. I don't understand the negativity. I don't understand why we can't just kind of get along. But I mean, that's just the world.
Right.
There's so many different views. I mean, the equivalent of me in Saudi Arabia right now is going to have completely different views.
Right.
So I don't know, but
Right.
that's why I don't pay attention to the world, because it drives me into that negativity, and I'm just trying to stay as positive as I can.
Yeah. Beautiful, Dylan. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart, for sharing. Yeah, that's wonderful. Mr. Jerry, what came up?
I kind of got hung up on thinking about the shoulder being my friend.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
For those of you who haven't seen, Jerry's in a sling. He had shoulder surgery, so
Mhm.
he's been dealing with a
So,
rotator cuff tear.
so I guess I'm thinking if the tendon reattaches, as we all hope it will, then it will be my friend.
Hey, Tracine, what came up for you today, sister?
Perspective.
Yes.
Definitely. I thank you to both of you for all that you shared. And it amazes me what in 1 week's time, the amount of perspective and information that you acquire to be able to share so amazingly between the two of you, and how you work to do that. I don't know how it happens. It's just amazing. But the message was very powerful, and I appreciate it. And I want to thank you both from both sides. I just, a lot of food for thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's so bizarre and comforting at the same time.
It is.
You know,
It
to
is.
go, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What
Did I
if I
sign up
thought
for this?
about it this way? Yeah. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a lot of work to do.
Yeah. And so easily just shifted in from blame to, oh, this is for my maximum growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A great way to look at it.
Yeah. So
It'll
cool.
take
Thank
a lot
you.
of practice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Edward, brother, what came up for you?
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Mhm,
Um, hmm.
mhm,
I think it's going over or absorbing the entire service. If there was anything that has, I think a couple of weeks ago, at least two, in part of the service, I think Dylan mentioned something about guilt, and I mentioned that, that'll kick your ass unless, we control it or put it in perspective, I guess. And in today's service, the thing that I have been the reminder in today's service, the reminder of the biggest thing that I've been struggling with is kind of a redo, and a redo would basically just be focusing with the kids. They're 23 and 25 now, and but they're great. They're absolutely amazing,
mhm.
amazing young men, or men. Yes, they're not young anymore. They're catching up to me. And why, since they are so great, why do I feel that there needs to be a redo
Right.
that time? Putting it all into a different perspective for sure at this point.
Definitely, Ed. You were the perfect dad for them. The perfect dad. As much as you were there or not there, was perfect for their growth. Just as your dad was for you, in whatever capacity that is. And imagine if that we don't have to carry a burden, that it needed to be anything different. Anything different. Because look at them. You're so proud. Anybody would be proud to look at who they've become. And you were a part of that. Yeah.
The time definitely goes by fast, as Greg, I think, was getting to all of a sudden, that the aches and pain. You're old now.
Yeah.
Can't imagine being that old.
If you want come see a real circus, watch Ed and I trying to everything's concrete around here. So, and they just poured new concrete, and now we have to somehow get pipe underneath the sidewalks to the planters. You want to see a real circus, come watch Tweedledee and Tweedledum over here trying to get all this stuff.
We'll be the cheerleaders, right?
We are
exactly.
funny.
We're going to make it look easy for sure.
It's going to be a lot of standing around, scratching heads, and then a little bit of work.
And piece of cake.
Francis has got her mic.
Oh, yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Francis, what came up for you, sister?
I just practice love. Everybody come in my life, I just send love instead of any other emotions.
Yeah.
I've been learning that for the last 7 months to change. Let the spirit see through my eyes,
Yeah.
so I can see others where they are and bless them and pray for them and let them grow. Like with his children, he put an example so his children won't be the path he did. So we all have examples for our children, no matter how we see through our eyes. But we need to see through our eyes through Christ, not the ego eyes.
Yeah.
Because everything is in divine love anyway.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. And there's no penance to pay. That's what's so cool about not walking around with that guilt, is there's nothing to pay for. Yeah. That when Christ was on the cross, he said, it is finished. It is finished.
Well, let's go
Okay,
online.
let's go online here. Mickey, what came up for
Mickey.
you?
You there?
There I am.
There you go.
Boy, a lot came up for me today. So, and it's all over the place. When I first came on, you were talking about our pasts or our stories or whatever. And I remember the first time that we sat down and had dinner, and it was you two, and Ed. And out of nowhere, I blurted out my story about Reno, and I thought, where did that come from? Like, why did I just do that? Because it's not who I am, and it's it's I have good memories and all that. It's but it was just weird. It just like came out. So anyway, I just never acknowledged that. So I want to acknowledge that that was a weird thing, that it was awkward.
But it was absolute freedom to do so, because
Yeah, well, and
we
I
unfold
must
in
have known
acceptance.
that. Yeah. So anyway, um, I had an experience this week. We had 8 adults here, 2 babies and 6 dogs. So I spent quite a few days before getting ready for the company, and it was our son Max and his family. But I remember going through this. Jeff's just not helping me. He's not helping me enough, and I need more help. Well, and at one point it was like I wanted to explode, but I got to this point, that's all I did. And then I stopped, and it was like, okay, you're causing this, what are you going to do about it? And I walked back and I went to the stove, and there was this rag on fire, and I grabbed it and threw it in the sink. But it's like, see, there it is. Well, there it is. And it just all disappeared, it went away. So, but that was a good observation, me watching myself do that, and choosing something different. So today's Jeff's birthday too. I want to acknowledge that.
Oh, happy birthday, Jeff.
Yeah. Also, when Ed was sharing about parenting, that's so true. It's like, when I think about parenting, I remember the stuff that I wish wasn't there, my mom was a screamer, I was a screamer, and I just wish that none of that I'd never done that, that I wish I was more like I am today, where I'm just real mellow and go with the flow, and just love, and whatever happens, happens. But that's not what my kids remember. They tell stories about the inspiring things I taught them, and I'm always kind of surprised, which is silly, because I'm the only one holding on to that, and I just need to forgive myself and let that go. So
Yeah.
I don't think so. That came out of observation, that the stories they tell, and my grandkids too, are all really positive, inspiring things. And I'm really grateful for that, that's what they remember, that's their experience. And I thought it was interesting when you talked about the mean people in our life, that what a difference they make. And they do, they have a lot. But I haven't really had it in that perspective before, about
That we chose them.
that we chose them. Yeah. And our parents and all of that, that we chose them.
We asked them to play that part for us.
Yeah,
For our
yeah.
maximum growth.
Yeah. And how much growth actually is there with experiences like that. So now that I've shared a lot here.
Yes, thank you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much. Thank
you guys too. I've missed you.
Oh, we missed you too. Thank you. And Miss Judy, what came up for you today?
Cheryl?
Hey,
There she
I'm
is.
Miss Cheryl. What came up for you, sister?
The only thing I want to say is awesome. I just, Tamara, when you were wiping under your eye, I was doing the same thing. I mean,
Yes.
was so, I got so emotional and into the message. I mean, you hear a message, but then you get into it. And I really got into it today. And I just want to say thank you for that. And I ditto what Tracine was saying. I admire how both of you, the messages from week to week, how you develop and experiences that you have during the week to bring that message forward every Sunday. I ditto what Tracine was saying, that it's just admirable. And it just
Thank
shows
you.
the Christ and the God in both of you. It's just you show it. You show it. You don't just speak it, you show it. And I just love it. I just love it.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
both just so precious to me. I just thank you both.
Thank you, Cheryl.
It's,
And you know, everybody that is here right now truly knows us on our dark days and on our good days and everything in between, So thank you, because we're growing right along with you. And it's just that little willingness to say, God, what would you grow me up as today? Or what would you have me share today? And we're all growing in love together. And I'm so grateful, for
Well,
all
you
of
are truly listening. Both of you are truly listening. You're
Yeah.
asking and listening. You're asking the right questions and praying for the right things. And
Well,
you're
and something really stopped me in my tracks this last week too, because Greg and I we had to renew our passports. And I went to the Walgreens there, and the gal was taking our picture. And I was so critical of my picture. I said, please, you got to take that again. I mean, there's something, good Lord. What, can you get this angle? Why are you making me put my hair behind my ears? I'm looking like a buffoon. I mean, this looks so bad. I'm just so ugly. And she looked at me and she said, I wish I looked like you. And my heart stopped right there in that moment. And I thought, and I said, oh my goodness, what am I doing? What am I saying to myself? And right there in that moment was such a good teachable moment by this other person saying, I wish I looked like, and I'm like, really? And it's like, why can't I say that to myself? Like, look at there, I have evolved. I've grown up. I'm a little that and go, isn't that adorable?
well, and as Cheryl's pointing out,
Thank you, Cheryl.
yeah, Cheryl, I really don't think there's any difference between you or Tamara and I or Tracine. I think the only thing that Tamara and I have done is we took the time to train ourselves to talk about it.
Yes.
That's the only, you guys all, I mean, Cheryl, I've spent time, we've been on cruises together, and I've seen how you conduct yourself. I've seen you with your grandkids, and it gives me goosebumps to think about you sometimes, because you've got so much wisdom and you conduct yourself with such composure and grace. And I wonder what must be going on the inside of Cheryl's. And I ask you some pretty deep
yes.
questions sometimes. And you're so humble. You just say, I haven't really thought about it. But you've trained yourself to be just delightful. And I think really the only difference, I mean, I look at Cheryl and I'm like going, boy, one day, hopefully I can talk to people and at people the way Cheryl does. Because when I talk to people and at people, you usually find out exactly what's going on with the storm inside, right? I'm not hiding.
But what's beautiful is for us to be able to acknowledge the storm.
Yeah.
And be there for each other to
Yes,
say, I
yes.
see you. I
Right.
see
Yes,
you. And
yes.
who you are matters to me. And we'll get through this. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
You know, and Mickey, we know you because you haven't been on for a while, so we know that you've been going through some things. Jeff has told us because he shows up, and I'm like going, all right, and so it's nice when you come and you share. Wow, this is a little bit about what's been going on for me. It's like for all of us. Oh, Tim and I are just sharing what goes on for us during the week. Sometimes like with Ed and I, we see each other occasionally, and we blurt on each other and stuff. So. But we are so grateful for this
Thank you.
for this family
Yeah.
and for the sincerity and the appreciation that you guys have for this process.
And really, it's just staying open to God and just saying, Father, what would you have me learn today or this week or for this Sunday? And just being so vigilant in that you come through. You come through. So God gets the glory for sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. And we
yeah,
get to be a part of his glory, right?
yeah.
So I love you guys. Thank you. For
Thank you,
that,
Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Judy,
And
are you
Dad.
there?
Oh, Judy, did something come
Not
up?
sure
for
if Judy's.
you? Oh, there she is.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good
how are you?
morning.
Yeah. It's real windy here. I don't know what it's like there, but I had a different experience yesterday. One of my past coworkers that I knew in Lee Summit, Missouri, she passed from lung cancer. And because of the virus, I was able to see the service because they do it online now. So that's sad, but I was happy I could join and hear all of that and have closure with it. So a good part of the virus. It was a nice experience and different. Yeah.
And
So-
and Judy, as you grieve, it's so nice to get to go back a few layers and connect
Yeah.
with the love you have for that person because they are
yeah.
they are perfectly proportionate. You cannot grieve without loving.
Mm.
And to the extent you love, you will grieve. And
She was
that's
a very loving person, and
Mm.
that was part of the service was how she was like that. Mhm. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing because Dad, I've been cleaning out his drawers and things, and he's got a whole section of all the obituaries of people he's known in his life. And it's
Oh.
extraordinary to look back or to experience now, the people that we've loved in our lives that are still with us. And I think there's a part of Dad that he experienced them still with us with their obituaries right there of their whole life in a few paragraphs, but it also reminds us of how we want to live, right?
Mhm.
And what do we want to be remembered having said or done or been in our
Yeah.
lifetime? So I think it's always a stark reminder of what really matters and what really doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Makes me really grateful for the life I'm having right now because she's much younger than I am and she never got to retire and such, and
right.
it's a
Beautiful.
wonderful life.
Yeah, it's a good
Mm.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
your caring heart, Judy.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, Padre. Hey, Dad, what came up for you?
Well, I think listening to the service was probably the best one that you've done so far. And another thing is that the responses of all the friends that we have there at church is probably the best response that we've had so far. I look forward to listening to you every Sunday. And I love you guys so much.
Oh, love you so much, Dad. And this guy sees us every day, all day.
We'll see you. In fact, we'll
So
see you soon.
thank you, Dad. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. We love you. He's always supported. I love you.
Mm.
Thank you, Dad.
Thanks.
Okay, Dylan.
Can I share something else?
Oh,
Sure.
yes,
Yes,
please.
Mickey, please.
Yes, Mickey.
When you were talking, Greg, about the asking the pain. I've always done the what size is it? What color is it? How much water will it hold? But I think the asking what it wants to say is so much more powerful.
Mm.
So that was a great, contribution to me. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. That
it's
makes a lot
fun.
of sense. Yeah.
You bet.
It's fun to just look around at objects. You could say, wow, if that had words, what would it say?
Yeah.
A tree,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
rock,
Yeah.
whatever, whatever it is. But,
Mm.
especially with a part of your body or a person,
Yeah.
to say, wow, if that had words, what would it say?
Yeah.
Is really it, because it shows you so much of your own personal commitments.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mickey.
You. So our
Yeah.
divine or our offertory blessing, and we're so grateful for anything that comes through and touches our ability to be able to continue to be here. So thank you everyone so much, in that our divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Yay. That's awesome. Okay, our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever God is, all is well. Thank you guys so much for being with us here this week. We appreciate you so much. All right, we'll see you next Sunday, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yay.